My name is Junfu. I worked at the Lobo from '08 to 2012. I started as a photographer, and because the time I wasn't speaking English very well, the only thing I can do is take pictures, and they brought me in, and luckily I stayed doing it. And I didn't think I was going to be a newspaper photographer, and um I get to continue doing this. I found this is what I really want to do. Now I'm still doing it, and somebody decided to pay me to do it. I work from a photographer to multimedia editor, photo editor, web editor, Conception Southwest editor in chief. So I've done a lot of different things. So anything you have questioned about from like videos or whatever, I'm happy to help you answer. Shot pretty much everything. Uh, didn't really have a thing. When I first came to the U.S. from China as an international student, I thought I was going to do film photography, shooting 4x5. Put myself underneath. I was shy. I put myself under this cloth. Have you ever seen a 4x5 camera? You put it on the tripod, you hide yourself with a sheet of black cloth, and then you focus and you shoot pictures, and then you go in this really dark room, and then you process picture, and then you just all by yourself. I never thought this was what I'm gonna do when I first started shooting at the Lobo, and I was told I need to go get names of the people I took pictures of, and that scared the crap out of me. And I was like, I have to go talk to people and get their names and ask what they're doing. Like I said, your skin get to grow along with the job. You get like more and more, you just get to open. Hey, explain to people who you are and tell them what you're doing and ask them for permission or names, and you write down your notes and show your respect, and then you walk away, and then you put them together and submit it. And so it all comes through a process. So
and where do you work, Junfu?
Where do I work? I work so right now I am a staff photographer at the Detroit Free Press. Any of you familiar with Detroit or Michigan or the Midwest? No, we're some underground newspapers. We're in Detroit. We are the largest newspaper in Michigan. We're 190 years old. We cover the whole state of Michigan, sometimes a little bit Ohio. So we cover pretty much everything here. As you probably know, if you pay attention to the local or national news, this past week has been very tough for us. We had a campus shooting happen at the Michigan State University, and then we have to direct our sources to cover a tragic event and everything that goes along with it. So I know you recently had one at UNM. So if anybody want to talk about something and how and things how to cover it, I'd be happy to share experience. Things I did, things we did as a team, and things we could do better, and also how to cope with yourself on mental health on covering things like this. So, and I shoot a lot of sports. We have a lot of pro teams on 2 big universities. So, and I'd be happy to help any of you who are interested in shooting sports. You got a couple more basketball games left, and I think that's it. I said I'll make it quick.
Very good. You did. I'm Adria Malcolm. I was at the Lobo from 2010 to 2012. And I had also taken Roberto's class. I'd always kind of been interested in photojournalism, but there's no real path on how to get started, or like who you talk to, or who these people are that do this. So I was just covering some protests at the time, Occupy Wall Street, which you may or may not have heard of. And this editor at the time from the Lobo, Chris Quintana, came up to me. He's like, "What are you going to do with those pictures you're taking?" I was like, "I don't know, no idea." And he's like, "Oh, do you want to come work at the paper? You know, we need more photos." And I was like, "Oh, sure." And that's the night I met Junfu. Do you remember that? No,
No.
I'm certain he probably critiqued me, maybe. I don't remember the next week. But that's what this is all about. I started working there, and then every Sunday we'd have these meetings where we would critique each other. And a big part of that was someone named Mark Holm. And he, at the time, was freelancing, but he'd been a photo editor quite a few places, and for a long time worked at the Albuquerque Tribune. And Junfu and I wouldn't be where we are without him. I think we're
The room that you're sitting at, Jessica and Mackenzie, the room you're sitting at is the room where we used to do the Sunday critiques.
And we'd sit in that room with Mark, and we'd go through the past issue from the week, and he'd tell us how we could be better in a very Mark way that was gentle and kind, but still motivated us to be a lot better. Just like you have in your art classes, right? You hang all your work around the room, and Patrick Manning will give you his critique of what you just made, or the other students. The same thing needs to be happening, but in a space that has the ethics of journalism, and to where you can learn how to create documentary photography in a way that is much different than what happens in the art department. So like some of you, I also minored in fine art and took a lot of photography classes. I was dumb. I should have double majored, but oh well. And so after the Lobo, I was pretty lost. I wasn't very good. I was really terrible. So all the big things that you apply to, like I didn't get accepted, but I just kind of kept on. And eventually it took a really long time, about 5 years. I worked at a weekly newspaper for a while, and then worked at a portrait studio the rest of the time. They wouldn't even let me touch a camera there. So I packaged photos. And then I started freelancing for national publications in January of 2017. And I teach some workshops at a place called Working Classroom. I haven't actually taught with them in quite a while, but other offshoots of that, I've facilitated some classes. And so now I only freelance. And Junfu and I had a little bit different a past. So he's obviously staffed, and I'm freelance. So you can get both perspectives from us and our paths and security in the career and stuff like that. But we're mainly, we wanted to pay our dues, as Junfu said. It's time for us to like give back. Did you say that or no?
It said give back.
Okay, I'm putting words in your mouth. I'm sorry. I'm saying it's time for us to pay our dues then.
Those are your words.
Those are my words, yeah. To you all, and help you to develop your eye and create documentary work that is evolving for you all, and to help the paper with the visual storytelling aspect of reporting. That's really important. So anyways, that's who we are. Do you have questions for us at all before we get started?
I don't think so.
All right, let's get to the point then.
Junfu, do you want to bring up issue on your side, or do you want me
We
to?
can do issue. Yes, we can do issue. Should we share screen? Should I share screen?
Go ahead.
Okay. I've never know how to share it actually. Let's see, open system preference. Do I know how to do this?
It should say share screen right on the bottom.
Okay, Zoom, quit and reopen. I have to quit and reopen. Let's see, can I do that?
I can do it if you'd like.
Okay, we can do, because I was looking at issue and looking at the critique photos, and the first pictures, couple pictures came out from the Google Drive was the Ann Arbor, well, sorry, Albuquerque City bus thing. And since Henry's here, we can talk about that. Is Henry here?
Yep.
Yeah, can we talk about that assignment? Like,
Sure.
how did you guys assignment? What did they tell you? What did the reporter tell you about what to do, or what do they need?
Yeah, so the only I even forgot who it was, but it was basically just
Dara,
get a photo
Roy.
of the buses. And I was like,
Okay.
okay, so that's pretty open, I guess.
Did you ask why?
No.
Okay, so that's what I'm telling you. Like, if you are a college journalist, and if a reporter tells you something, start with, why do I need to get pictures of bus? What's the story about? And you start with and a lot of times if they're doing, like, ask why, just like what do you need? So reporter has a vision different than photographers, right? They can just tell you, say, hey, go take a picture of the bus. Like your thing is like, hey, what's the story about? What about the bus? What's the point of the bus? And if they're talking to the bus driver, and get on the bus, and you can have a conversation with the bus driver, with people who's riding the bus, and start a conversation with a reporter, have that communication. I think getting to know the story better, because you don't want to be the one to find out when the story published with a picture, and you're the one to find out the same time as I am as a reader. Oh, this is what the story is about. That's too late. I
Understood, yeah.
So I think the communication can be started with a reporter by asking. Sound good?
May I add to that?
Yeah, go ahead.
So something that is really crucially important. Every Sunday, we'd all attend the budget meeting. Photographers and reporters would all attend the budget meeting for the week. And within that budget meeting, there should be some type of conversation around what stories are prioritized visuals, and what stories are visual, and some aren't going to be. Some you have to ask yourself, this is what Mark always told me, what is visual about this? You can get something really boring where there's not a photo opportunity, so you think, and it's your job to make it visual. It's your job to do that. So that is one thing I would say will help in this communication dilemma. The second thing is, don't think of yourself as a photographer. I think that's a mistake that's made. You are a reporter. You're a reporter with a camera. You have to know just as much as the reporters do. And if you don't, you're not going to be getting the visuals that are appropriate for that story. So I'm going to guess that this is about free bus passes or free rides. Is that correct?
We can also continue to postpone decision on fate of zero fare busing. Yeah, you're right.
Okay. So if that's what it's about, thinking, okay, maybe it's not just a bus. Maybe who is this impacting? That's not a rhetorical question, but who are the zero bus fares benefiting?
Oh, like commuters.
Right. So this story is about who?
People using the buses to commute.
Exactly. It's about who the people it's impacting. So visually, like Junfu said, a great opportunity is, hey, I'm going to get on this bus, and photograph passengers, maybe you photograph the bus driver, but you got to have that conversation, right? Of if it's okay, usually they're going to say yes. You don't really need to call the city and get approval. Yeah, and photographing some passengers, people riding the bus, and then talking to them a bit, getting their names. But oftentimes I think, we could supply a photograph to a photo editor of a passenger, but if we only know their name, that could be important, but it could also be nice to know what they think of it. Will it impact them? And if so, how do you create a photograph that demonstrates that?
Which helps if you know what the story is about, and it would have been helpful if you team up. It could help if you team up with a reporter. Say, like if you know the stories about, you go on the bus once you talk to a passenger, to you identify who you are. I'm with Daily Lobo, and we're doing a story about this. And like Adria said, ask, what do you think about this? And then you get to hear other people's story about why they're commuting, well, how's that affecting them. But you have to know the story. But you could go along with a reporter. It's like, hey, can we go together? Talk to some people on the bus, and then you get to know, you get to photograph, work as a team. You get to photograph the person that are mentioned in the story. Somebody could be putting a bike on the bus on Central, going from the west side to UNM campus to work at near campus, like something that's affecting your community. And another thing, like your community is the UNM community, and like that's where would there be commuter that's working around the UNM, like nearby the restaurants, the shops, or whatever, and that's it takes some footwork to go on and find them, and then you get to talk to people. I think just I think I'm overstepping myself now, but
No, not at all.
Go ahead. We would do that a lot at the Lobo, depending on the story and class schedules and other chaotic life things. We'd pair up. So I once did a story with a reporter where we rode the bus along Central from one end to the other, like, I don't know, too long, like all day, interviewing passengers. And I don't even recall what that was about. But sometimes pairing up is going to help you to understand the story a lot better. But like Junfu said, it provides that opportunity to whoever was interviewed, you get a photograph of them. So we won't stay on this too long, but
so I have to run soon to go shoot. I have some assignment, but there's another thing I really want to talk about.
Good.
If you don't mind, Adria, is I've been seeing a lot of stories recently come out about Black History Month, and this is the important month to cover those stories. And there's a couple things I would like to mention. For example, when you had the story about where did it go? There was a am I on the front page? There's a story I see, like the okay, first one on the culture section. Black Education Act seek to support. I feel like I'm gonna backtrack. What we're trying to do a lot of times is visualizing story, like and when we're not being able to have a like direct say go take a picture of that, like I think Mackenzie, you shot somebody was writing on the black chalkboard, right?
Yeah.
What was the idea behind it? That was a photo illustration, and or is that somebody was writing this?
Because so when I first saw this story that they were writing, I honestly had no idea what to do for the photo. And so I went to talk to John to see if he had any ideas, like what kind of approach we could take for it. And this is what he had suggested that we would do.
Okay. And do you know Maddie
Yeah,
well? Okay, I think go back to like being in a communication with a reporter is constantly talking. Like, hey, have you talked to anybody? Have you, like, what are they doing? Because I'm reading down, there's the Black Education Act, the second kind nationwide. I'm reading down, there are certain things they're doing to help students transition into higher education or recruit, or like if there's a building, they're doing it. If there's a place, they're doing it. If they're meeting with some high school students, they're working on college preparedness. If there's any of the program they're doing, that could be, it could be worth a call. The reporter could provide you a phone number, and then as a photo editor, you can come up with something. Hey, can we talk to one of the person you talked to in the story? Can we go photograph that person? Can we go photograph their organization? Or just give them a call, give the organization a call and say, hey, what are you doing? What are you doing this week before your deadline? What are you doing? Can we stop by if you're doing this? And um, like something, activities that you're going out, something what they're doing that's benefiting other students.
I think with this, like, I completely understand what you're saying, but with this story specifically, I think this one was one that we had to come up with last minute, so we had to have like a last minute photo.
Okay, they have no handouts.
Happens a lot with some of the photos, is that last minute stories, and I'm just kind of like on the fly trying to get photos in.
Okay. And why are they last minute?
Because I don't get told properly about when certain stories get picked up.
Okay, so that's something we can work it out with the newsroom communication.
Yeah, and we've been talking about it for the past couple of weeks about how we need to communicate more,
So when they
especially
enter,
with stories.
right? Okay, that's great. Yeah, keep up the communication. When they come up with a story, you need to be there to help them visualize. That's what the photo editor does. Yeah, I think that will be help. They'll help. Anything you would like to add, Adria?
I would. I have a question. Did you pose this photograph?
I just told her to write Black History Month, and then she drew the line under it, and I took the photo.
Okay, so this is a really tricky ethical problem.
Okay.
So when you do a photo illustration, you're not going to write a cut line. It needs to be said photo illustration under the bottom. Because we can't pose photographs. We can't do that. It's unethical. We can't ask anybody to do anything. If I move their water bottle on their desk so that it's out of the line of their face, no, we don't do that. Okay. So we can impose ourselves in the situation and control it. So this is okay. This we're learning, so it's okay. But if it's a photo illustration, don't write a cut line such as this one, right? It says a student writes on a chalkboard. First problem, a student. One, we need to identify everybody in the photograph.
Okay.
If it's 5 or more people, we don't have to identify everybody because it's then considered a group. Ideally, yes, you want to identify everyone. But 1, we have to identify. 2, if it is something we're posing, which I'm seeing a lot of photo illustration, and that's something I actually was going to bring up as well. Photo illustrations can work really well, and they can work not so well sometimes. And so if we're using photo illustrations, let's just try to make sure that it's designated photo illustration by. That's all you need. And then other ways to think about it too. I don't know how budget works and how all this is going, but you could do other illustrations too. All of you are familiar with the art department. Maybe you know someone who's really good at sketching, who can do a couple sketches a week to fill in that space, instead of just kind of a photo being there. And illustrations can work a lot better than photographs. Drawn illustrations can work better than photo illustrations in some capacities. So that's just something to think about. I don't know if someone would sketch something quickly for like $12, but maybe they would, but it's something that maybe you could build up a partnership and see if that works. Just a thought. And then just remembering that ethical part with that. Yes, Henry.
Yeah, so I've done a couple photo illustrations in the past that were like, one was for vaccine mandate news, and it was, I'd basically just taken a photo of my vaccine card and then blurred out the details on it. Would that count as a photo illustration? Like I've had ones like that where it's just I'm taking a photo of a piece of paper, or I've taken that but like my hands in front of it or something. Like, and I've always been confused on how to write cut lines for those, because it's a staged photo, it's posed. So how would you go about doing that?
Yeah, that's a great question. Well, one, I would say, yes, what you created was a photo illustration. The blurring gets tricky. I understand why you had to do it. You had to keep your own information out of it. But
Yeah.
When we were at the Lobo, Junfu and I think there were a lot of people who tried to do photo illustrations. It came up a lot because of being in a time pinch, like Mackenzie mentioned. Miscommunication in the newsroom. So you're not getting it until it's too late. Maybe an opportunity's passed, or maybe there's no time or whatever. But one, Henry, with the cut line, anytime it's a photo illustration, you just put photo illustration. That's all you have to put underneath. You don't need a cut line. If you'll look in certain magazines, it'll all, if it's a photo illustration, it'll usually say photo illustration by, and sometimes there'll be a cut line, but it's not a descriptive cut line. It's not a who, what, when, where situation. It's an elaborative cut line that's adding into the story. And we can talk more about that. Go ahead, Junfu.
So we have to do photo illustration sometimes, like a computer scam or something. We'll take a pictures of somebody's computer. I mean, I feel like in the caption you could write, in this photos illustration illustrates what. You don't have to be in AP style, oh, on what day and where, but you could say, in this photo illustration is a student's vaccine card that shows how many shots you got. And I mean, something that help you to tell a story. If you already drain your brain of everything possibility you can to tell that story, your last resort is the photo illustration. You cannot get anything else. Like, if UNM doesn't have a building or something that has a place that vaccine required to enter or something, right? But at the end of the day, you can in your illustration, if you want to write in this illustration, like, but let people know you're illustrating. Same thing with a portrait. I feel like if somebody is, if you're taking picture of someone and that person is not doing anything, and that person just expecting you to be there to take a picture, and you couldn't ask that person to do anything because that person will be posing for you, and then you just write so and so, like Adria Malcolm posing in front of a computer at her home in Albuquerque on Sunday, February 19th, 2023. Like, that's your caption. But so I know someone's posing for a picture. That's a portrait. I mean, you can take a portrait. Like, let me know it's a pose one. And if somebody is showing you, oh, I'll just like, I just pretend I'm doing this. We don't do pretend photos.
Mhm.
Pretend is an illustration, and if but like that goes back to your communication with your reporters. If somebody said go take a picture of somebody, and then you sometimes you get a number, you call that person. If you're doing, for example, another story, the two where was it, the two student that wrote in on the op-ed on the Black Joy Community Culture and Love, they're senators from the student ASUNM. You could get their phone number, say, hey, can I come take a picture of you? Imani and who else? And you could go take a picture of them, or they could be doing something. You know, you can work it out. Hey, are you doing something today? Oh, what day are you available? Are you doing something today? If you're doing this with your student, with your organization, or can I take a picture of that? It's something related to the story. But you know, like, give it a try. The worst thing they can say is no. And then you say, can I have a picture you in the sub, or in front of the ASUNM office, or like in front of the Mesa Vista Hall or something. But
Okay.
Okay.
My follow-up question then would be, so let's say it's a story about like social media, and I want to interview somebody. I want to interview a student and then get a photo of them like using their phone, I guess. Like, at what point is that posed? Like, is there like a scenario where I can get a photo like that that's not posed? Because I feel like
Seeing
I
somebody
would
on
just ask
campus,
them, look at your phone for a moment for me, and I'll snap your photo. But I don't know.
if you're doing a story about somebody is using social media, how do you contact that person? Right? Like, for this person, you're like, let's say you're talking to this person to take a picture of that person. Like, where are you meeting that person, in the library somewhere, or sub, right?
I guess like in the sub, I would just approach
Okay.
a random student, I guess. I don't know.
Okay. So you go to some in the sub and you check, hey, are you what's the social media kids use these days?
TikTok.
TikTok. Are you on TikTok? TikTok is a social media? I thought it's like short form YouTube, basically. But anyway, like Instagram. Okay. Like, I'm not that old. I use Instagram. So let's say if you like, but don't be a creep there to say, hey, are you, like, I see you using Instagram, but I'm just so you see somebody using their phone, scrolling through, everybody's scrolling through their phone, go there and explain to that person. It's like, what are you doing? Hey, my name is Henry. What was the Daily Lobo? I want to take pictures of, we're doing a story about student using social media. Is a so I saw your on your phone. Would that be okay? I get a picture, you're on your phone, and that person's gonna go back to whatever they're doing and not smiling at you with a phone in the hand. You can, you know, like, that person's gonna go back to doing whatever they're doing.
Mhm.
And right. Yeah,
Yeah,
I
that
mean,
makes
like,
sense.
go on campus if you're talking to somebody, and they might ask you, what is the story about? And is that something you're working on right now?
No, it's just an example.
Okay, well, I mean, like, yeah, if you see somebody's already doing that, is already like on their phone, it's somebody you run into. It's not like a friend that's posing for you.
Mhm.
Like, you saw somebody like in front of the art building there, where the sitting on the grass at the Johnson Field, like laying on the grass and just like scrolling through. Go ask permission. Go
And
say, hey, can I take a
that's
picture of you looking
sorry.
through? Go ahead.
Yeah, sorry. That's more ideal than like asking a friend to pose for me.
Yeah, you never want to ask a friend to pose for you.
Mm.
But yeah, go out and think this job would take us out to is to be out in our community to cover our community. You have to be in our community to cover the community.
Mhm.
And your community is, majority of community that you cover is your campus. And you have to own it.
May
You
I
know
say-
what I mean? What's that?
may I add to that?
You didn't raise your hand.
How do I raise my hand?
Yeah, click that button. It says reactions.
Hands. There,
All right, go ahead.
okay, thank you. Yeah, I would sort of approach that the same way Junfu is. You want to try, sometimes you'll get an assignment, and particularly I think if you're using a lot of photo illustrations already, you're going to lean on that a lot. So I challenge all of you to, if you get an assignment and your first thought is photo illustration, how can I do this? Challenge yourself to find it in the environment. And that can be really hard. It can be really difficult. Sometimes I'll even get an assignment and I'm like, oh my God, how am I going to do this? And so a lot of it's just spending time, So I agree with Junfu on that, but I would say try to challenge yourselves. And I know we only have 9 minutes left, so I won't beat a dead horse. An hour?
Oh, okay. Well, how about Jessica or Mackenzie? Is there anything that, like right now, we could help you?
Yeah, so some of the photos that I put in, when it comes to doing like conventions or events, one thing that's been bugging me is that I've noticed it's been feeling kind of repetitive trying to take pictures of people at the booth without it being the same kind of like smile, pose at the booth and showing what they're selling there to kind of give people an idea of what the event is. Is there a way to better approach it so it doesn't look like the same image being repeated?
At a convention or like booths, like the recent picture of them making crafts in the sub?
Are you talking about Comic-Con?
I did Comic-Con and then I did Art Walk. But a lot
Comic-Con's the worst. They all like to pose.
Yeah, they do all like to pose, and most of my photos they were all posed because I'd be like, hey, can I get your picture? And then they would be all excited.
May I?
Go ahead.
Something. So that's gonna happen a lot, no matter what. Like people just see you and they're like, I'm gonna pose. Especially at like Junfu said at Comic-Con, it's the worst. I've only covered it twice and I enjoy it because that's part of the reason. But what I do, I take that posed photo. Do I turn it in? Never. I never turn it in.
You can.
You can turn it.
You can't unless you make it into a series.
But I take it, I build that rapport with the person. Okay, she took my photo. And I'll be, can I hang around and make some other photos? You can ignore me. You don't have to pose. I'm just gonna try to get some moments and just talk to them, kind of like, chop it up a bit, how long have you been doing this, whatever. And then you wait for moments. And so something that I'm noticing is missing are moments. And there's lots of moments that are going to happen at like a Comic-Con. You're going to have the little kid who sees the, I don't know, whatever. I don't watch these types of things. So my vocabulary and idea of characters is like gone. But I don't know. Say you see one walking around like an avatar. I don't know if they're at Comic-Con, but say it's an avatar person and you have this little kid and they're like, really excited to see this avatar character. That's your photo. That's Comic-Con. And so I would say kind of being in the space and really working it. It's going to take time. You're going to have to be there for a while. I have an advantage that sometimes staffers don't, which is I get an assignment and I don't have to turn it in till like the next day. Junfu goes to Comic-Con, his deadline's noon and he has maybe an hour. So it's a little bit different, but I think with you all, you have some time. So I would spend time in the space and try to get a sense of where those moments are. And you look weird most of the time. You're going to look like you're stalking somebody or like a creep. but you'll eventually get comfortable with it, and try to get those moments and then get your pose stuff. I love that you're making portraits of, I lost it. I love that you're making portraits of some of the characters. That's really great. If you look at the Albuquerque Journal, they also did some portraits. Chancey, their new staff photographer, she made some really nice portraits as well. And so I love that you're making portraits of the characters. I think that that's awesome. There's a total place for that. But then try to add in like some moments. But for me, the way to get around to people posing, just take the post photograph. Just take it, get it out of the way, and then, you know, have some communication with them to say, hey, I'm just going to hang around for a bit. Is that cool? You can ignore me. That type of stuff. Does that make sense?
Yeah, well, yes, it does, but like, for like, when it comes to booths and stuff like that, or especially too, if like, there's someone that is really big that is there, or like, there's like a specific person that I'm trying to do, I wouldn't, how to put this? With how big the crowds are, would it be like, would the photo look weird essentially? Would it be a moment if it's like, kind of just, that crowded atmosphere, I guess? I don't know how to explain it, if, since you've only done Comic-Con twice.
No, I understand. It's a very packed space. There's people on all sides of you. I get that it's packed. I don't think I understand the question though. Can you ask it one more time?
I think the reason what I'm asking is like, cause like, if they do see like someone dressed up as like Avatar, and there's like a bunch of people like swarming them, like, how would you approach taking that if it, so it wouldn't look so busy, I think is what I'm saying.
Get close.
Gotcha.
I would get close. Sometimes I think when we first start, we tend to really stay back. Go introduce yourself to that character. If say there's a character walking around that you see people have really big interest in and they're lining up to get around them, talk to the character a bit and say, hey, I'm going to follow you for a bit. Is that okay? I want to get people reacting to you. Of course, they're going to say yes. And just stay really close. Sometimes maybe they're walking down an aisle, right? There's booths on either side. There's people everywhere, people bumping into you, whatever. Turn around and I would just face them and walk backwards and see what you get. But that would be my solution. Go ahead, Junfu.
I'm gonna walk back and ask you, like, when you talk about Comic-Con, is there like you're sent there to do a general coverage of Comic-Con? Was there like a particular angle the reporter told you that
The reporter.
what's that?
I was the reporter too.
You were the reporter, so you are looking to do a general coverage.
I was looking to do general coverage, and then there was a particular artist that was there that is local that works for the comic company Coffin Comics, and the creator of Coffin Comics was also at the event as well.
So you are doing general coverage, but with a focus on a local artist.
Yes.
That's great. Like what she said, follow that artist around. Or if the artist is in the booth doing something, get a picture of the artist doing something.
Right.
Like if the artist wants to pose a picture, take that pose shot. And then if people want to sign autographs, people want to talk to the artist, then you step back. You already, because you want to establish, acknowledge that the person acknowledge your existence. You're there taking pictures, and then they know you're there. They get comfortable that you can move, you can step back, and then people go there, sign autographs, or just doing some doodling and something, or just sitting by the booth and everybody is walking by. No one is talking to this person. You're the person there. You get the photograph. Yeah. And if you want to talk about how crowded it is, and shoot down from an aisle with show how crowded it is. Get a higher point. If you can get on a ladder, get on one of those things that will move you up and down, like go get a higher vantage point. You might be shooting overall. But yeah, for a feature on a single person, that's great. Like hang out, like introduce yourself. You can talk along and just kind of hang out. When people go interact, step back and like yeah. Does that help?
Yes.
Cool.
Will this cut us off automatically? No? Okay.
They got the pro version.
That's nice. Our last meeting, Junfu and I were in, it just cut off. We couldn't even say goodbye to anybody. So one thing I would say is think about the rapport you're building. It's really sad. I think even the Albuquerque Journal, like the amount of time that's needed to tell a story properly really isn't there. But you all have a real advantage in a sense. You may not feel it. I know when I was there, it felt like constant chaos, but that is the news cycle is constant chaos. But you have a little bit of a benefit where you have time on your side. So if you can build that rapport and kind of immerse yourself a little bit, you'll start to notice your photos will really change. So that's something to think about. Junfu, I see you're moving about. Is there anything in closing you wanted to say or thoughts you want to leave them?
I'm just getting a couple of things ready. I gotta go to Detroit. I got 2 high school basketball games to shoot. I was gonna talk about sports. Anybody would like to talk about sports?
What do you gotta say about it?
What's that?
Do you have any like tips for basketball career? Because I put some like isotopes baseball game photos into the drive.
Okay.
And
I saw that, and one thing I do want to talk about sports real quick is caption.
okay.
Okay, so when you have, I'm looking at the photos from the past couple games. In the caption, for example, I'm clicking on the versus Wyoming. Lobo guard Jamal Mashburn Jr. dribbles up the court against the University of Wyoming at the pit. First half or second half? Okay, give me a little bit detail in the caption. Start working on whoever's shooting sports. If you got 15 minutes to run up the tunnel and maybe download your picture to a computer or something, or just to create a blank screen or create a picture of the scoreboard. Then when you're actually looking at pictures, you know how to separate them. And like when you're there, you're a journalist that are covering a game. And when your picture go out, first half, second half, at least I want that information in the caption. And also when you go up against another player or something, like make sure you get the other player's name. You can find their roster pretty easy on there. That will help. And we can talk about basketball coverage some other day. But I'm looking at your baseball pictures right now. I see 2.
Yeah.
Okay, so one is a guy sliding to the second base. Another one is a guy sliding to the second base. I like the first one. You got the ball. The guys, you got the action of this guy sliding down. Yeah, that's a nice shot. Do you know what inning it was?
It was which one was it? Was it the one?
The 55 from the ISO, 50
Perez?
something.
Was it where?
Not the Perez one. Perez, I can only see his back.
Yeah, that one. With him.
And the other one,
Well, that was in the first inning.
that was the first inning.
Yeah.
That was the top of the first inning, right?
Yeah.
So he is throwing the ball back to the first base, as the other guy from Tacoma is sliding into the second base.
Okay.
Right. Work on the captions, and baseball is
So
tricky.
just put more detail in them, basically.
Right. Yeah. And bring a notebook. Bring a notebook with you. And what camera are you shooting with?
I have a Canon T15 Rebel.
Okay. when you are bring a notebook, if you're seeing, if your camera, a lot of cameras have like a star option or tag option, you tag the picture and then you later on you look at picture, you know. But like if your camera doesn't have a tag option, you can always write down the number of the photo you took and then coordinate to your note. This is a note happened in top of the first inning, and second baseman Perez was throwing to the first, like get it in your caption. Baseball is tricky because there's no like timeouts, there's no like halftime that you get to process picture. A lot of times you have to shoot a couple inning and stop, turn around in the dugout and send. But yeah, that's a nice capture. And yeah, if you have more to put in, I'll be happy to look at it. And what the UNM baseball season is about to start,
Yeah,
and softball season.
yeah.
Have you ever shot softball?
Yeah, I know Shelby. She was our multimedia editor last year. She shot a lot of the softball games.
Okay, high school, college softball is really fun to shoot. It's a smaller field, lots of movements, and they hit a lot more too.
Yeah.
Yeah, go shoot. The more you shoot, the more things we can talk about. Upload a couple more, we can talk about more.
Awesome.
Yeah. How many people are shooting UNM basketball these days? Just out of curiosity.
Like of our photographers or like all the photographers that are
Like you got 2 passes from UNM, right?
I know one of our photographers, Jeremiah, he usually goes to a lot of the men's basketball games. But with the upcoming game with the men's basketball, I'm having 2 photographers go. So I know Jessica's going and Jeremiah's gonna go take photos for it. So they can both capture basically. Not like the same thing, but they can capture their own little moments.
Okay. If you have the luxury to send 2 people there, certain stories need to watch out. Like, for example, when Nevada came to town to play, and the Nevada's coach used to be the UNM coach, and he bailed out on us, and he went to UCLA, and he became one of the most hated person in this town. And I'm seeing the 4 pictures you posted. I did not see a picture of the coach or the bench.
I did send it in, actually. I did take pictures of the coach and stuff.
Okay, we'd like to see it in your gallery, because when you were there, so this game is not just about none of the game is just about the action. It's about your storytelling of the game. You tell me if you can put up 10, let's say 10 pictures. 10 pictures is the limit of Instagram. 10 picture, you tell me a story of what you saw, the storytelling of the game. You see, they lost by 1 point. There's a lot of frustration. I want to see the frustration part. They lost to Wyoming. Like, well, the only presentation I see is 3-4 pictures you have in the gallery. I know you shot more than that.
Yeah.
So I would like to see it in the gallery. And you know, they lost to Wyoming. You lost to the bottom team in the Mountain West Conference. They must look frustrated. Fans must look frustrated, right? And those, I know you shot those, and would like to see them in the galleries.
May I say something?
Go ahead.
The 2 people going, remind me their names. Jeremiah
Jeremiah and Jessica.
Jeremiah and Jessica. So Jessica, there's only one, right? It's you.
Yeah, it's me.
Okay. So when is the game?
It should be
Friday.
No, I thought the 25th is Saturday, isn't it?
Is it?
Yeah.
Oh, I don't know why I thought it was Friday.
Okay, so your game is Saturday. I have a challenge for you and Jeremiah. You have the liberty of sending 2 shooters to the basketball game. See what would be best, communicate, and see how you're going to cover it as a team. I would love to see a photo essay by the 2 of you let's say 15 to 20 images. This isn't an assignment, so if you don't get it done, I'm not going to be mad. But I want to challenge you to do this because you're going to be there. Figure out who's going to focus on what. Challenge yourself to not just sit on the baseline, but maybe Jeremiah's on the baseline and Jessica, maybe you are in the stands. You're going up and down the steps and you're focusing on, you're waiting for moments. You might stand there for a while, you know, it may not be great, but wait for a moment when someone grimaces, when someone cheers in excitement, something. Then maybe you're working the ramp, you know, maybe when the players come out, you're there when they used to huddle, like around the top of the ramp. Maybe you're there. Maybe you contact, I don't know, whoever the communications person is. Is it still, what's his name? Oh my God. What is
Frank.
it? Huh?
Frank.
Frank. Is Frank
Don't talk
the
about
guy?
I don't,
Frank is not a friendly
I'll say
person to
they have
talk to.
just gotten a new one.
Okay.
I don't
Well,
know.
if it's Frank, like I know a couple years ago when I covered them, he was still there, but he isn't very nice. He's kind of, but he's a little blistery. But say, hey, they can say no, and that's okay.
Oh, you're
Can
covering
you
San
go-
Diego State.
Can you go to the locker room when they have their talk in between the first and the second halves? Can you go back there and photograph? Ask. They can always say no, but I love a moment where it's like you're in the locker room with them, coaches maybe yelling at them, and you're there documenting it. I'd love to see that. I'd love to see fan portraits. Maybe it's Snake. He's been photographed a million times. He's totally up for it. You know who Snake is, right?
I do
Oh
not.
my. Okay, well, you'll find him. Just go to the student section and you'll find him. He's always dressed up. He's always yelling. He's not a student, but he's always in the student section. You'll find him. Maybe
He
it's
goes to a lot of the games, doesn't he? He goes to a lot of like the volleyball games too. You
I
know?
don't know if he does. I've only seen him at basketball games. I've never seen him at any other game. You'll know who he is. He's bald.
Is he a face paint?
Yeah.
Oh, is it like the black and white face paint?
Mhm.
Oh,
Yes,
yeah, I've
He
seen.
paints his face.
Yeah. So maybe you get some fan portraits. Maybe you get some fan portraits. Maybe, you know, just show me. Let's put together a photo essay between Jeremiah and Jessica. You're going to work together so you're not covering the same things. And let's see what you come back with. That would be awesome.
If it's a
Another-
sold out crowd, you're playing the best team in the Mountain West. If it's a sold out crowd, find a way to show me. There's a lot of people there. If it's people are very, I mean, you are gonna try to beat the best team in the Mountain West, and there will be signs. People are holding signs, and people are yelling and cheering, and I still haven't seen an overall of the pit, but student crowd, they definitely go in there, shoot. I've been to a lot of basketball arenas. The UNM still has the best. I was telling somebody this morning is like the pit still has the best like crowd I've ever experienced.
Terrible lighting, but great crowd.
Lighting doesn't look so bad. Like somebody. I mean, there are some stadiums who have like nice lighting, but like your background's still pretty like darkened out. But like an overall will be nice, and like they always huddle before, like at the end of the tunnel before they run out though. Not like it makes a nice shot from the tunnel, right?
There were
You're
two
up the tunnel.
photographers that were a lot bigger than me, so I wasn't able to sneak my way in. I was so upset.
Oh man, it'll come. Don't worry. You'll be elbowing them out of the way before you know it. It's okay. Don't
Yeah,
let them beat you up.
And they high five fans when they're going up the tunnel. There's like and there will be little kids. There will be little kids trying to high five a big basketball player or something. Like, especially if they're leading by halftime or they win, even they lose. This is the last home game. Supposedly they had a pretty good run, and you know, like if they lose, like they're gonna look upset. And we'd like to see that in the pictures. Is there somebody putting a towel over their head? Is there like Richard Patino is pretty animated. I even got TV subscription to watch them these days.
I try to, I try to get both kind of reactions just in case, depending on which way it's going. So
Good.
Yeah, you want to like you will go through this like football game, basketball game. Yesterday, like last night I was shooting a game. Like I got happy pictures from both teams because in case whichever team wins, I can use it, and if one team loses, I don't use because I get to cover both teams, so it works my way better. But yeah, like take us through a journey of what you two see. Plan it out with each other. Talk to each other. Plan it out with each other. You go here, I go here. Don't stand next to each other. Like I was at a hockey game last week, and there was Michigan versus Michigan State. Their college newspaper, they sent 3 photographers. 2 were standing next to each other when something was happening. Like when they were holding the trophy, it was like, why are you two standing next to each other? Like you want to get the same shot. Like one is here, play as a team. If you have 2 people there, play as a team. One go there, one go the other way. But yeah, if somebody's floating on the concourse, walk around, look down, or go through the stairs and shoot some signs, people cheering or acting frustrated, or something like just be open to whatever you see, and then tell us a story of what you see, not just actions on the court.
Okay, so I think that'll be really good. And think of, okay, so anytime you're assigned, and I'm sorry, if you already know this, I'm sorry, I'm repeating myself, or repeating the knowledge, but so when you go somewhere and you're assigned to a story, you want to walk away with probably 4 different things. Junfu mentioned something, I don't know if you caught it, but he said, I've never seen an overall of the pit. What he's talking about is, well, what is he talking about? Do you know what he means by that?
Essentially, like, when you were saying earlier, like mentioning one of the coach, one of the fans, one of the event going on, essentially that you have different topics and it's not the same topic being repeated throughout the entire story.
Kind of. What he's wanting is like an overall of the view of the pit. Like, how do we, that's what you meant, right, Junfu?
Yes, let me try to see if I can share a screen. Can I share a screen? Yeah.
So you mean like a wide shot
Let me show you.
from the top stand?
Let me show you something. Can I open? Can you see my screen?
Yes. If you want to get really good at captioning photos, Junfu is the one to teach you for sports.
What do I
Well, they don't know how to use code replacement.
Oh, I'm not sharing code replacement. I'm sharing something out of.
I know you're
No,
not.
I'm not showing code replacement. I'm trying to show you something. For example, yesterday, like yesterday, Michigan State had a terrible shooting. Michigan wants to. Usually, Michigan's color is yellow and blue, and they want to have and like honor their rivalry at a rivalry game for the people they lost. They decided to turn their stadium to green. You never see that happen ever in their history. So I decided, instead of being on the court, I go up and shoot. Can you see this picture?
Yes.
I decided to go up and shoot an overall. This is an overall. You see all the fans. You see the stadium is a little green. You tell a story about. This is Chrysler Center at University of Michigan. They are lighting it green to support the other school for the people they lost to, a shooting. That's what I mean by overall. I could go a little higher too. Like, I think there's a little higher when they're doing the national anthem, something like that. And like things, they have to put out a flag to show support for their Spartan. Usually they cuss against the Spartans, and so something like that. Like when I mean like, coaches will do a lot of like very emotional stuff too. Then we got very like, what's the thing called, like animated coaches. Patino's a very animated coach too. Like they will be doing things. You'll see like, Jerome Howard doing things when they're like very, when they're going up on the score, and players might be upset. They might have a discussion about things, and players, like, you shoot action, you shoot reactions. They're gonna score, they're gonna celebrate, they're gonna come back, win, they're gonna argue with the referees, they're gonna go up, block, talk about things, celebrate. So if UNM wins, celebration shot. If they loses, dejection shots. You have a home team to cover. So
Thank you,
I
That
really
was
have to
very
go, I'm
helpful.
sorry.
It's okay, I can close out.
So I don't know how to stop share. Okay. Well, we can maybe next time we can have you screen share of your your process of stuff, because next time will be, you shoot the game on Saturday. If you want to edit, we can help you edit through.
Mhm.
If we can schedule that out, and because you shoot the San Diego State game on Saturday, then we can maybe look through your take, and we can help you.
So are we meeting on Sunday? I can meet next Sunday, I think.
Yeah, I mean, like, let's we can have an editing session. Do you think this is helpful?
Oh, shit, I can't meet next Sunday. I'm sorry.
I have time.
Okay.
Jessica, Mackenzie, Henry, do you think this is helpful?
Yeah, you guys gave a lot of, you gave us, or at least for me, you gave us a really good perspective, because like what you guys were saying, we're like basically a whole different world to me, basically, like I would have never have thought that way if you guys wouldn't have brought it up.
That's awesome. Good. Glad you don't think we were like berating you the whole time. So that's
Definitely just felt integrated with other people.
Yeah, you started with like a whole question and answer section was that scares kids,
yeah.
Like I'm like, I had to think over my entire life. I'm like, ah.
Like what do you work for? ICE?
Okay, good. So I can't meet next Sunday. I'm sorry. I thought I could. I can't. One other thing that I'm just going to mention, next time, if we can get, if you have 15 people, maybe it's mandatory they be present for one meeting a month or something. I don't know. That way we can share with them and everyone's kind of starting to gel and everyone gets on the same page. I don't know, just an idea. So if we can get more people in attendance of those 15, that'd be awesome. Second, when you go to an assignment, there should be 4 different things you're walking away with, no matter what. Unless it's a portrait. Well, a portrait is still the same. So we want to see verticals and horizontals. You notice what Junfu showed. He had some verticals, he had some horizontals. Me personally, I don't shoot a whole lot of verticals for certain things, but sports is one of those areas where you do shoot a lot of verticals. So I would say verticals and horizontals, wides, mediums, and tights. So your wides is your overall shot that how Junfu used that term. You get a medium shot and a tight shot. So that way, when you put together an edit, it's like putting together a piece of music. You're tugging and pulling the viewer's eye. You don't want it to be the same focal length and same subject position in each photo. You want to push and pull. So an editor, Mackenzie, is going to need to be able to push and pull in an edit. So you want to give a wide selection of frames that are wide, medium, and tight. Third thing is portraits, if it calls for it. And sometimes it won't, you don't have to shoot portraits, obviously, when you're covering sports, but it'd be really fun to see in your edit for this last game. That would be really cool. So those are the 3 things. Sorry, I held up 4, 3, I can't count. 3 things that I would walk away with. And same with portraits. If you're going to do a portrait assignment, your editor is going to want to see a wide, an environmental portrait, a wide, you show their environment in the composition, mediums and tights. So that's the last thing I'll leave you with. Sound good?
Thank you.
You're
And,
welcome.
and if John will share like our email with you, and if you need anything, if you want to like run through like a planning process, like just let us know. Like send a quick email, like if you have like something that's bothering you, or you need help making a decision on something is a plan for a game, plan for an assignment or something, you need somebody to help like brainstorm, just let us know. We can always have like a quick phone call or something, like if works out. It's nice there's 2 of us, like we don't one of us might be available.
Yeah, send an email, send a text, whatever you need. If a question comes up, like you get some weird assignment and you're unsure how to photograph it or
Visualize it.
what the visual component would be for it, shoot us a text, call us, email us, whatever.
So same time next week, is that what the plan is, to go over the editing for the basketball story? Is that the current plan?
Yeah, you have a editors meeting at noon, right?
We have an editors, sorry, I'm back again off screen. We have an editors meeting at 11.
11. Oh, not at noon. Okay.
Noon is the like our all hands and then desk meeting stuff.
Okay. What time is the so does this time work for you?
I mean, presumably, we'll need to see.
So we can spend about like 30 minutes, 45 minutes to edit, because somebody shares screen with me. We can edit through like. What do you use to edit? Bridge?
I use Lightroom Classic to edit and sort. Sometimes I'll pop stuff into Photoshop, but not always.
Okay. Okay. Cool. Well, I mean, we'll just use whatever you have. And or if you feel like it would help and you can upload your take, you can like go through the first star, 1 star. Do you 1 star, 2 stars in Lightroom?
Usually how I edit is that I sort through everything. I do a quick ad for everything that I find that looks good, and then I sort through that, and then I'll lastly code them as like code red into the gallery essentially, so that I can just do that, and then all the photos that are red are going to be the ones that I keep and send out for the story.
Do you mind sharing that with me? If you shoot the game 8 o'clock game, you should be done with the game by 11 something. Like, would it be okay to upload to the Google Drive the night before, that night, or like the morning of our Sunday meeting?
Yeah, that should be fine, because I also
Okay.
want to send it in anyways for work for
Cool.
here.
Yeah, send it in that we can like either use your screen or my screen. We can go through. Yeah, sounds good. And captions, first half, second half.
First half, second half, got it.
All right, that's we start from there, and then yeah, we'll talk about code replacement someday.
Mhm.
It's a cheat tool, but it helps you a lot. So yeah, I think was great to meet all of you. Thanks
Yeah.
for taking your time.
Me too.
So I
Thank you.
yeah,
Thank you guys.
so if you
Super
will
helpful.
I'm glad. Aren't you happy, Adria?
I'm happy. Yes, my
Okay.
dog's snoring. Sorry for the noise.
Your dog is snoring.
Yeah, she's old and asleep.
Okay.
I hear it.
All right, everybody be
Well-
well, be kind to one another, and we'll see you soon.
Thanks you all.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.